First item on the agenda is approval of minutes. The open session, regular meeting on May 26th. Chair will entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Pollak, seconded by Mr. Marciano. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. We also had an executive session on May 26th. Motion by Mr. Marciano, seconded by Mr. Andriozzi. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The agenda is correspondence. We have one piece of correspondence from the East Providence School Committee. It is a resolution.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Marciano.
Yeah, I'd just like to move that the correspondence be on file.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. De Silva. Any additional questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have Mr. Tom Scalavinio. Yes, sir. If you come to the podium, state your name and address. Is that on? Yeah.
Okay, try again. Okay, here we go. Tom Scalavino, SCA, LA, V as in Victory, INO. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I had three items. First of all, I'd like to thank school committee member, Mr. Anthony Marciano and Mr. Furoli. I cannot believe the prompt response they had to me. I called them one evening. I called Mr. Marciano one evening, and the next day I had an appointment with both Mr. Marciano and Mr. Furoli to take care of three requests that I had suggested for improvements at Greystone School, two of which Mr. Furoli already had on his agenda, and the third one he mentioned that he would take care of. And so one was for speed bumps, permanent speed bumps at the Greystone entrance. Because they had temporary ones, which got destroyed by the snow plows. And the second one was to update or clean up some of the grounds, trees, shrubs, etc. And the third one to improve parking, organized parking and safety, to stripe lines in the parking areas. So I just wanted to thank them. I know usually you probably get complaints that people are not so appreciative at times. So I just thought I would share that with you. The prompt response was just amazing to me. So thank you. The other question I had for you is, I was wondering if the school committee had a stand on critical race theory. There's a lot of discussion throughout the country on CRT, and I've not heard much about it. And since we've had so many meetings via Zoom, I don't know if it's come up or not in the ones that I attended, if I recall. So I just thought I'd ask, what is the stand by the school committee for the future school year?
So the short answer is, good evening, first of all. The short answer is we don't teach critical race theory. We teach to the standards and the core curriculum that we have in place.
Thank you. Excellent. Okay. And the other one I have was on, there's some legislation being considered in the state, at the state legislature on Civic Literacy Act to make sure that students are aware of constitutional issues, etc. I wonder if you could address that as well. Are we involved in civic literacy at the various schools from 8 through 12?
Yes, we have a civics literacy social studies curriculum and a American government requirement at the high school and at the middle school as well.
Okay, thank you. All right, that's all right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
My name is Thomas M. Landry. I live at 40 Ambrose Street, North Providence, Rhode Island. My son just completed the 11th grade at North Providence High School, and my daughter just completed the 8th grade at Birchwood Middle School. I have had serious ongoing concerns about the school's ability to give my daughter an appropriate education at Birchwood Middle School. She's faced discrimination from faculty due to a disability, and I've experienced gross incompetence from staff. My daughter went from a happy, successful student who received straight A's throughout the 6th grade and well into the 7th grade until the pandemic hit later that school year. Since the 7th grade, she has attended the Marine Academy program at Birchwood. Once her school went to full distance learning, it became impossible for my daughter to keep up with all of her assignments. When I brought my concerns to her social studies teacher via email about my daughter completing an assignment, but no longer being able to turn it in on a due day before a holiday weekend, the same teacher very rudely questioned my credentials as an educator when I tried relating to her. My daughter turned into someone who dreaded school. My wife and I had decided to keep our 2 children in distance learning at the beginning of the 2020-2021 school year, and my daughter continued to fall behind academically. When both of my children returned to in-person learning, my daughter finally started keeping up with her assignments until her team was forced back into distance learning later that quarter until January. By late 2020, my daughter was diagnosed with severe migraine headaches and generalized anxiety disorder. Despite numerous documented visits to the Hasbro Children's Hospital emergency department, a pediatric neurologist, and a pediatrician, the school nurse ignored my request to enter my daughter's absences as excused ones. When I initially asked the school principal to meet with me about my concerns about the mislabeled absences and my daughter's need to have appropriate time to make up her assignments, the principal delegated his assistant principal and the school guidance counselor to meet with me. As we were approaching the end of the 3rd quarter, I was told that my daughter would have a day to make up assignments for every day that she missed school. This was not the situation at all. When I emailed my daughter's science teacher about the zeros given to her for assignments that she did not have the opportunity to make up, the teacher responded simply that my daughter would have a chance during 4th quarter to bring up her grades. For 3rd quarter, my daughter was failing 3 classes: social studies, science, and foreign language. She was failing these classes only because she had grades of 0 for the assignments that she did not have the opportunity to complete. My daughter received A's in all of her other classes. I found that my daughter's social studies, science, and foreign language teachers lack compassion. They seem to be good at nothing more than hashing out assignments. Furthermore, the social studies teacher simply has too much power. She is both the Marine Academy team leader and social studies content leader. I was interested to learn that she's married to the president of the North Providence Teachers Union. This teacher is someone who, okay, okay. I was trying not to mention names. May I continue? I won't mention any names or positions. May I continue? Okay. Okay. I'm afraid that these experiences are representative of North Providence School Department rather than exceptions to it. On a very positive note, when I spoke with key personnel, my daughter finally got the attention that she needed. These key personnel members developed a 504 plan, a fully signed copy of which I still have not received. I still have my concerns about the education at Birchwood Middle School and the rest of North Providence Public Schools. My question to the members of the North Providence School Committee is as follows. What are you going to do about these serious concerns?
So it's appropriate for the superintendent to respond, not the members of the school committee, because these were not agenda items. So I'll be responding. So I spoke to Mr. Landry a couple weeks ago. He shared his concerns with me. We had a very lengthy conversation. I did speak to the principal, who was also receptive to your concerns. And I know that, and also Ms. Van Avery was informed as well, who's our Director of Student Services. And a team meeting took place subsequent to my conversation with you at the middle school. And I know that many of your concerns were addressed at that time. And I asked that if there were any further concerns, that you stay in contact with the school principal and or Ms. Van Avery and or myself. So just to let the school committee know, I am fully aware, as is Ms. Van Avery and the school administration, and they have been receptive to your concerns and took immediate action after we spoke.
My concerns remain with a lack of knowledge about diverse populations and diverse learners.
So I would suggest if you would prefer to communicate further concerns to myself or to Ms. Van Avery or professional development that you feel that the teachers have, that would be Mrs. Seisinger or certainly the school administration. We'd be glad to make an appointment with you to discuss those matters further.
Okay. I honestly wasn't aware of where to turn after our meetings. So I thank you for informing me now.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Consent agenda. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Dr. Pilata. A couple things. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge the 2 retirements that you approved in the consent agenda. One is Ann Anisi, a longtime speech pathologist in the district, most recently at the high school and at Ritchie, and Lynn Vanass, longtime resource teacher at Centerdale Elementary School. We congratulate them on their retirement and wish them good luck and health in their next phase of their career and their life post-pandemic. So thank you for your service to North Providence, and good luck to you as well. Also, I think I would be remiss if I did not say on this last day of school, I would like to thank all of our employees for the tremendous work that they did under extremely difficult circumstances. And we're very proud of the work that has been done for our kids and for our families. And as superintendent, I would like to personally extend my appreciation to all of our employees. We always appreciate our educators, but I think more so over the last 18 months with what we've had to deal with. So I think publicly acknowledging them is definitely deserved. So again, thank you. First item on the agenda for the superintendent's report is I would request a motion to approve the fiscal year 22 budget reconciliation as submitted in your packet.
So move.
Marciano, seconded by Mr. Pollak. Any questions on the reconciliation budget for FY '22? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda, I would ask approval of the Chartwell's Food Service Outside Locations Agreement. If there are any questions, the director of our Chartwell's Food Service organization, Donna Humphreys, is in the audience. So this is an opportunity for Chartwell's to expand its operations and possibly increase profits for the district. And all of those profits are reinvested into our elementary and middle school and high school kitchens. And this is an excellent opportunity for us to do that. So the first thing I would like is a motion to approve. And if there are any questions or any discussion, Mrs. Humphreys is here this evening.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Picard, seconded by Mr. Pollak. Any questions on the Chartwell's agreement? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'd like to take.
Nice job, Donna.
Excuse me, Mr. Goho. Without objection, I'd like to take items C, D, E, and F, which are all contract templates as one motion. And we can have the motion, and then if there's discussion, we certainly can identify which template we want to discuss.
So move.
Okay, motion by Mr. Marciano, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Andriozzi. Is there discussion on any of the templates, contract templates? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Item G.
Next item on the agenda is item D, and I will turn the microphone over to our Director of Student Services and request a motion when she's concluded on the auditory oral intervention services contract. Ms. Van Avery?
Thank you. So this is an opportunity for us to utilize a different provider for some of those services for our auditory oral students. The professional had reached out to me and offered similar services to what we were already receiving through another agency. I reached out to that agency and discussed their costs as well as this new contract, and we would like to move forward with this service. We think it's in the best interest of our students as well it is more cost effective as well.
Any questions for Ms. Van Avery? Okay, the chair will entertain a motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. De Silva
Anthony and me.
and Mr. Marciano. Questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is I'd like to inform the school committee and the public of the draft of our ESSER 2 application, which is the federal stimulus COVID relief act that will be provided to school districts and municipalities. We have drafted a plan that we will be submitting by July 1st. We have sought input from our community through a survey that Mrs. Seitzinger sent out to our families, also to our staff members, our school administrators, and obviously our central office team. So I would just like to outline some of the priorities that we've identified for submission. The way the grant works is that we would have to expend the money on our end and then seek reimbursement from the Department of Education. So the first thing that we would like to address are the capital needs of our building, which are, COVID related in many ways. So we would like to upgrade the classroom furniture at our 3 elementary schools. As you know, McGuire and Stephen Only have brand new furniture that came with their brand new schools. And, we would like to do the same at our 3 other elementary schools, which will allow for flexible seating and social distancing. We would like to upgrade the furniture in the high school and the cafeteria, again, for social distancing purposes, and also for the cafeterias in the 3 older elementary schools. Science tables at Ritchie Middle School to allow for social distancing during lab settings. Installing touchless fixtures and faucets at bathrooms at the high school. Also installing HVAC control systems to allow for better energy control and air circulation and ventilation at both Birchwood and Ritchie. Recall that with the original CARES Act money in the fall, we did that and initiated that at the 3 elementary schools. The 2 existing new elementary schools already had everything in place that was needed, and we did some work at the high school as well. So we would like to expand that work to Ritchie and Birchwood, and continued HVAC control systems, additional work that needs to be done at both Greystone and Centerdale, and then new air return units and controls that needed to be connected at Lisa. What school is that? The high school. Okay. In technology, we have a lease for for Chromebooks for our students, so we would like to move that into the federal funding to replace Chromebooks that we have and ensure that all of our students can move to a one-to-one setting, especially for flexible learning in the classroom and virtual snow days and virtual professional development days as well, so that learning can be uninterrupted and we can provide all of our students with the equity of online learning. And then for learning recovery, which is one of the major impetuses of the Act, We have set aside funds for summer learning academies at the elementary school for learning loss, high school summer clinics in ELA and math and credit recovery, and a very high-quality program provided by Kids Club that we will be hopefully making free to all eligible parents by setting aside federal funds for that as well. The Right to Read Act is an act that has been passed in the state legislature requiring extensive professional development of our teachers, and that would qualify as well, and we would set that cost aside in the federal ESSER II Act. Staffing for social emotional learning with a social worker, special education, additional resources there. The math interventionist at the middle school that we unfortunately had to eliminate with budget cuts previously. We'd like to also install 3 social emotional specialists at the 3 elementary schools that don't have them, which would be Wayland, Centerdale, and Greystone, and also restoring an elementary music teacher as well. We've been mandated by the Department of Education, as have all of the school systems in the state over a period of time to implement high-quality curriculum. And so we would like to use the federal funds to offset those expenses in science and mathematics, and also our Lexia online K-12 literacy program. We would like to also set aside some funds to hire a retired elementary teacher for each of the 5 elementary schools to do small group instruction in ELA and mathematics during the school year when we have the students present and in school. And also, we've set aside a small amount of funds for one-on-one tutoring for students who have fallen behind during learning loss and may benefit from one-to-one tutoring by our staff as well. So this is just a draft of our ESSER II plan. The total amount is $2,799,819 that we will be receiving. And once we expend all of the money and receive the reimbursement, we will provide with the school committee with ongoing updates in terms of our application. So we want to be transparent and share this with you and the community and take any questions that you might have.
You need a motion on,
Motion by Mr. Marciano,
Actually, there is no, this is just, I'm sorry, Mr. Marciano, this is just an informational item. There is no vote, but any questions that you or the committee members might have, feel free.
is that a question? No. Mrs. Picard,
I have a question about the positions. So if we use the funding for positions, what's the plan once the ESSER funds run out?
So the plans when ESSER funds run out would be to examine our need at the time, 2 years from now. As you know, that's a long time. So 2 to 3 years from now, our needs may change. But our hope is to keep the plans in the operating budget, and so that they would not just go away after 2 years. So at that point, we may have additional retirements, we may have breakage, we may have the ability to repurpose. So our plan in 2 to 3 years, when the money is used, to keep the positions in the budget, if we are able to and funded.
My worry would be that we would take on extra positions, but unable to access them in the budget, and then not build the capacity of, because obviously we all know we need the supports, but that would be my concern, that as you know, we've been level funded year after year, and I can't imagine if we don't get the retirements, I would hate to say to our students and our teachers that we're unable to keep a support that they have now counted on.
Yep, I completely agree. We know that the support needed right now over the next year to 2 is acute. So the additional positions will be of great value during this period. But we're certain that the need will continue. So our plan is exactly what you stated, which is depending on funding and needs at the time in terms of available resources to maintain the positions in the budget if the funding is there. So these are not temporary positions in our mind.
any other questions? I just have one question. The summer learning academies, is that going to be voluntary?
Mrs. Seisinger?
Are students will be selected or?
Yes. It's been quite a rigorous process, and the students were recommended and selected based on their data in terms of interventions and supports. So they were recommended by teachers and principals. We went over it. We actually calculated a certain formula so that we can make sure that the kids who are most at risk got invited. And we also have transportation, thanks to Durham. We have one school bus available for, we have 91 students currently in the program, and we have 14 staff, one of which is going to be a substitute in case we have someone that's out. But we have, it's quite a rigorous program. It'll be math and reading. 2 hours. So the teachers will come in at 8:30, have planning from 8:30 to 9. The students come in from 9 to 11, and the teachers continue planning from 11 to 11:30. They're getting a bagged breakfast when they come in, thanks to Chartwell's, and that is free. And then when they leave, they'll get a bagged lunch. And what's nice about having it Stephen only, I'm sorry to interrupt, that is that if they go to Kids Club, they can go to the academy in the morning and then go to Kids Club for the rest of the day.
Very good. Thank you very much. Item 9, old business. We have no old business, new business. Without objection, I'd like to take items A through E, policies. I'll entertain a motion, and if any member wants to discuss any policy, we can do that. The chair will entertain a motion for items A through E.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Marciano, seconded by Mr. De Silva. Questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item F.
I'd
Uh,
like, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'd like to entertain a request, a motion that the homeschool policy and procedure, which is a new policy, and as you know, we received some emails from one of the homeschool associations regarding this policy, and we've accepted a lot of the edits, and so I would recommend passage of this new policy and would ask for a motion to do so. Requesting a motion to approve the homeschool policy and procedure, which is a new policy.
Motion by Mr. Andriozzi,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Pollock. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item, and I would ask for a motion to approve the need to upgrade, so the upgraded district phone system lease, and Mr. Nahigian is here if anyone has any questions regarding the need for us to do this, but I would request a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
By Mr. Marciano, seconded by Mr. Corsini.
Mr. Nahigian, would you like to add anything to the need to do this?
Yeah. Mr. Chairman?
No questions? Mr. Marciano?
This is not a question, but while we're on this, I'd just like to say thank you for the great job that you've done for us during the very difficult period during the COVID, where we really relied on you quite a bit. And I thank you and your crew. You did a wonderful job for us. Thank you.
I agree. You guys have been.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
So the next item on the agenda is the Centerdale Elementary School Gymnasium Project. And just to provide some background, as I request a motion for approval, the school committee approved work to be done at the Centerdale Elementary School Gymnasium at the beginning of the year. It was an emergency purchase using the Federal COVID Relief Act. We approved a company to do this work. And through just a lot of difficulty in dealing with the company, the work still has not been done. The Centerdale gym has not been able to be used. So recently, we met with Mr. Ferroli and Mr. Ivarone, both of whom are here, and the decision was made to go with another company. So we've submitted that information to you. The good news is that the new company has come in about $16,000 cheaper than the original price that was approved. And also, they tell us that once this is approved, the equipment that they need will be delivered and ready for install within about 2 weeks. So this work needs to be done immediately so that we can fully open up Centerdale, seeing that there will be full in-person learning in the fall, and use that gymnasium. But if you have any questions, both Mr. Ferroli and Mr. Ivarone are here. And so I would request that the project be approved. And again, this is using federal dollars that have already been allocated. This will be coming from the School Business Authority COVID Relief Fund.
So
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by Mr. Marciano,
Second.
seconded by Mr. De Silva. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda, we went out to bid for a plumber, a district plumber, and I would request approval of the bid as submitted.
so move.
Mr. Marciano, seconded by Mr. Corsini. Questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda, I would request approval of the equipment for the boiler that needs to be replaced at Wayland Elementary School. And as I stated in my memo, my email to you recently on Friday, I spoke to the school building authority at the Department of Education, and using the federal COVID-19 School Building Authority Fund, we are fairly confident that the Department of Education will approve this expenditure. We have to seek reimbursement, and as I said, we've received some assurances that it could qualify, but nonetheless, it is an essential purchase in order for Wayland to operate appropriately. So I would request this bid be approved.
Second?
Motion by Mrs. Picard, seconded by Mr. De Silva. Are there any questions? I just have one question. The installation of the boiler obviously will be in place for the coming school year, given the timeline? Okay. Okay, thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Item K is tabled. Do we need to take a motion to table that, Dr. Pilata? Yeah. So I entertain a motion to table item K.
So,
Item K is the local 1033 tentative agreement. Chair will entertain a motion to table.
so move.
Motion by Mr. Marciano,
Second?
seconded by Mr. De Silva. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item, I would request a motion to approve the removal of the textbooks at Ritchie Middle School as submitted.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Marciano, seconded by Mrs. Picard. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is approval of bills as submitted.
I move the bills moved as submitted.
Second?
Motion by Mr. Marciano.
Second?
In a second. Is there a second? Mr. Pollock, seconded Mr. Corsini. Questions? Mr. Andriozzi.
We had a conversation with the director of administration a few years ago. He said that these things would be marked such that they were school department property. I just want to know if they've been marked, that they're school department property. Yeah, you have those in the shed. So they're in the shed and they're marked that they belong to the school department. Okay, because the director of administration brought that up when we had a meeting with him a few years back. So then when they, now when that's out of service, you know, it breaks, something goes wrong with it, we know that we're going to replace that particular one. Correct? I just want to be sure that they're. Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Andriozzi. Any other questions? Okay, there's a motion on the floor to approve the bills as submitted. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 12, use of property requests.
Motion to approve?
Who made the motion? Motion by Mr. Pollock, seconded by Mrs. Picard. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have no requests to address the committee. We have no pending business. Before we adjourn, I just want to take this opportunity to thank the entire educational community for the past year. All your hard work, dedication, your commitment, your loyalty to the students and the school district. You did an outstanding job under some very difficult and challenging situations. No one was prepared to deal with this pandemic, and all of you came together and did a great job. So I want to thank everybody in our educational system for that. And I also want to extend a personal thank you to our whole IT program for keeping the community involved, keeping us online virtually with the community, setting up our meetings for practically a year virtually. So I thank you for that. You guys did a great job and it's greatly appreciated. It did not go unnoticed. Thank you very much. You did a great job. So the entire school district did a great job beginning last March in making sure that the students got the best quality education that they could get, given the resources that we had and given the conditions that we had. Everybody came through, and I greatly appreciate that. So once again, thank you. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Mr. Marciano, seconded by Mr. De Silva. All those in favor?